What are wholesome things that are actually toxic? Story 1. YouTube Kids channels. The ones aimed at older audiences are literally better for a child than the kids ones. And here's another thing. YouTube is 13 plus and yet they make their app kid-friendly when 1. It's not even supposed to be for little kids. 2. They already have something called YouTube Kids, so there's no point in making the main site kid-friendly when, as I said, it is already 13 plus. So in a way, YouTube Kids channels aren't even supposed to be a thing in the first place. One of the biggest channels of YouTube is literally a 5-year-old reviewing toys. Blippi, on the other hand, on YouTube is one of the better kids shows. I mean, he's just a silly dude who goes to cool places and shows kids things they don't see in a lot of other shows, like all the parts of a Zamboni and how chocolate is made. I don't understand why he'd be bannable. The show is super tame. I have a better one. My other channel, Rufus Reddit, my more PG channel. You should go check it out. Wouldn't want you guys to miss out on that. Story 2. Corporations who spend $50 million in ads to tell you about the amazing $1 million they spent on a charity program. Freaking Bellet stock, Canadian here, is the worst. And there's a whole month and people get on social media and talk about their mental health. I appreciate that there's a goal to destigmatize mental health in our communities, and I think it has worked to a point. But every time you use the hashtag, we'll donate 5 cents to insert mental health association. You're a multi-billion-dollar company, and your rates are outrageous. Screw off with the disingenuous feel-good bullshit advertising. Take $5 from every person's monthly phone bill and donate that if you care so much. Never mind their outrageous rates, they're worth billions of dollars. And they're using us for a free advertising ride in the backs of the mentally ill. The 5 cents per hashtag thing is a band-aid and an artery wound. The mental health situation in Canada is horrible. We need actual solutions, not social media bullshit. Story 3. Proposing in front of a crowd puts a lot of pressure on the person being proposed to, and things could go bad. I can't remember how long ago it was, maybe 5 years ago. There was a story and video that came out about a woman who neglected her baby when her boyfriend proposed to her in a mall. She was clearly busy trying to do something with a baby on top of the stroller, and he decided to try and make a romantic gesture or something by grabbing a freaking mic and proposing to her. She was frozen because it was so out of character. Then when the baby fell, you could tell how awful she felt. Like everybody's watching them because her stupid boyfriend's got a mic. So now they just all saw her neglect her baby and let him or her fall off the stroller. I feel so bad for her. Neglect in quotes obviously because she wasn't neglecting the baby, but she got a lot of hate because she chose to look over at her boyfriend as he was proposing instead of maybe taking the baby off the stroller first. It's like, cool internet warriors, maybe you should have been in the situation and seen how you turned out. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I remember a video I watched where the dude proposed in the mall singing with some band and the girl just got up, hit him with a mic and left. It was hilarious. Story 4. Toxic positivity. Like when someone's having a really hard time and you tell them to stay positive or try to look at the bright side, I hate it so much. If I'm upset and telling someone a problem I'm having, one of the most annoying things for me personally is when they try to spin it to make it seem like it's not a big deal or everything's okay. Like heck, it's not a challenge for you to make me feel better at the moment. Just shut up and let me vent for a minute. More often than not, I'd rather have someone say, yeah, you know what? You're right. That is bullshit. Than try to put some positive spin on it. Like telling someone who feels like crap going through cancer treatments that having a positive attitude helps their immune system fight it. Guess what? Now you're making someone feel guilty for not putting on a happy face. And your immune system doesn't really fight cancer, so go fly a kite. You're saying that to make yourself feel better. It's okay to feel like crap when you're fighting cancer. It's hard and it sucks. People should just learn to listen. I just remember hearing this story from a friend. The dude had acquired immunodeficiency syndrome and some friends of his was trying to lift him up by saying, it's alright, everything will be better. You just gotta stay positive. Like, come on man, he's already positive. Story 5. Supporting someone no matter what choices they make. You can love someone to the ends of the earth. That doesn't mean they will 100% be right all of the time, no matter how much you love or admire them. I disagreed with my boyfriend on his handling of a family thing a few weeks ago. He told me, I feel like you're not on my side. He said it in a calm, sharing my feelings way, not in an accusatory way to be fair to him. I had to reply, I'm always on your side, 100%. But sometimes being on your side means pointing out things you missed or asking you to see things from another point of view. Because that's my truth. No one is always going to be right. It doesn't mean I don't support you. And you know what? Sometimes supporting someone means telling them they're being an idiot. But if you decide to provoke a bear by poking it with a stick, then you're all alone, buddy.
Hey, also, if you didn't know yet, me and a couple of my friends just launched Rufus Rugs. Premium, custom, hand-tufted rugs. Maybe you're just a fan of Naruto and want to show it off. Or maybe you just love Pokemon and want bus toys on display for everyone. Either way, we can make almost anything. So hit the first link in the description to learn more.
Story 6. Hustle culture. What? You aren't grinding yourself into a fine red paste at your job, coming in early, leaving late, working weekends, and paying for your own training? What do you mean you don't have a side hustle and passive income? Are you even trying? Haven't you found your purpose and started a business yet? What are you even doing? My family has always been like this. My mom is a workaholic. When I was a little girl, she had at least 3 jobs. My brother is in high school and takes college classes as well, but at one point he had 2 jobs. I had to quit my job because I was being bullied by a coworker and my boss wouldn't do anything about it, and I had to take a break from school because of health reasons. My family seemed disappointed. My mom was like, "Can't you just take your break later?" My brother and mom asked when I would get another job, and I became extremely depressed because I wasn't working. I didn't have any energy to apply for jobs and I just felt like a failure. Even when I confessed I was depressed to my family and they said I would get a job eventually, I just still felt like a loser. Eventually, I started feeling better with the support of my friends and my boyfriend. I found out the cause of my health issue was narcolepsy, and my mom still felt like I was using that as an excuse to do nothing. Lol. I didn't see that coming. So how many times did you fall asleep while writing this? Is it like 10 sentences, falls asleep, then pick up where you nodded off? Story 7. Obese animals. It may be cute, but it's also and those animals are unhealthy. Of course, there are some rare occasions where a health condition leads to an animal being obese. I'm referring to the culture of praising obesity in animals because it's cute and gets you likes on social media. There's nothing wrong with adopting them, but it's their continued popularity that drives people to keep breeding them, and that should not be allowed. Their deformities impact their quality of life severely, and we shouldn't be subjecting animals to that just because it's cute. Also, whenever you voice concerns about the well-being of pets, there's always the handful of people who are like, "Oh, just let people enjoy things. We're allowed to think things are cute." Well, yes, but you're sacrificing another animal's well-being to that end. I know what you mean. The number of obese geckos I've seen is disgusting. Story 8. The martyr mom idea that you have to sacrifice 100% of your life for your kids. Absolutely, parenting takes sacrifices, but I have seen some people act like they can't do anything for themselves anymore because they have children. For example, a woman I work with ended up with a half day at work while her kids were at school, so she had 3 to 4 hours of unexpected free time. I suggested she get a mani-pedi or something else fun for just her. She told me, "I can never do that. I have kids." Lady, your kids are safely at school and this is found time. It doesn't make you a better parent to neglect yourself, especially when it isn't even necessary. You don't have to be puke-covered, unshowered, and unhappy to be a good parent. Also, a few people have said that it might be about the cost of the mani-pedi. This was just an example of one of my suggestions. She literally told me she could not do anything for herself because of the kids, not watch a movie or go for a walk despite having an extra half day of time. Actually, you will be a better parent when you are well rested and take care of yourself. And you will teach the children to value themselves too, so they don't fall into the trap of constant sacrifice. Have a glass of wine and take an hour to unwind. You'll thank yourself later for that. Speaking of taking a break, why don't you take one right now and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Alright, now back to the video. Story 9. Asking your child, who's your boy or girlfriend, anytime they interact with someone of the opposite sex. My parents did this when I was a teen, which just embarrassed me. I had a group of female friends, but I wasn't close with any of them. We just stuck together like a pack of socially awkward teenagers. I got on much better with my male friends. Not sure why, just did. Embarrassing me about interacting with the opposite gender just started a spiral of lies to hide who I was meeting up with. In fact, I recall when choosing secondary schools, my parents initially wanted to send me to an all-girls school out of town because they had both gone to non-co-ed schools. I wanted to go to our local co-ed school because I thought it was dumb to avoid interacting with half of society. I remember my mom asking me why I wanted to go to a co-ed school and teasing me and hinting that maybe it was because I like boys. So embarrassing. Story 10. Asking babies to hug and kiss people. My mentor's kid is very shy and would refuse to even talk to his own family members. Often, people would pull him in for an interaction anyway, which he clearly wasn't happy with. So I started asking for high fives and he smiled each time and gave a very enthusiastic high five. From there, he started getting more comfortable with me and would talk and play with me for a bit. So I think high fives are a good way to say hello without getting too awkward. It's important to acknowledge that it's your choice if you let other people touch you. If a kid doesn't want to, he or she should never be forced. When I visited him last time, I remember he decorated the stairs with balloons for me. It's a great feeling when a kid chooses to show you their affection in their own little way, and when they want to, and not because you asked for it. I totally agree with this. Teach the kid to interact with people, but don't force them to hug or kiss anyone. Fist bumps are the way to go. Story 11. Body positivity like Dove's Real Beauty campaign. The idea that all women are beautiful sounds nice on the surface, but it's a gross message to send because beauty is still at the core of it. I don't want to be told that my body is beautiful too. I want to be told that I don't have to be beautiful. My value is not tied to how much other people enjoy looking at me. And you gotta love the bullshit where they'll go, "Oh, you're beautiful the way you are." They proceed to tell you all the ways in which you can make yourself more palatable to others. I mean, bullshit like this has gotten so excessively common that even I, as a dude, have been told crap like this. Not to mention that meanwhile in Southeast Asian countries, Dove is a main seller of skin-whitening products. Reveal your inner radiance. Barf. Lots of things are currently wildly messed up by people refusing to acknowledge acceptance and approval as separate concepts. Body positivity failed because people started arguing for attractiveness and romantic prospects, instead of respect and dignity. For Christ's sake, nobody needs to find anybody attractive. Everybody needs to find all physical flaws insignificant when judging a person's worth. But when I see someone morbidly obese trying to claim body positivity, I scratch my head. Self-acceptance of dying young because of what you're doing to you isn't beautiful or positive. If you want to balloon up to 400 pounds, that's fine. Just don't act like it's society's fault no one finds you attractive. Yeah, the beauty and cosmetic world is messed up. What rubs me the most is that they always target women. How about me? You want some of these stuff too, like who wants to have ashy skin? Story 12. School fundraisers. If the government can't give schools enough funds, then everything is wrong. Also, when schools give students bonus points, a better grade, for bringing in their own tissue boxes, something is horribly wrong. When teachers have to use their own money to pay for basic school supplies like pencil and paper, something is horribly wrong. When children are going into debt because they can't afford school lunches or go hungry every now and then, something is horribly wrong. But the most up-to-date textbook is 14 years old, something is horribly wrong. They still pump more money into the basketball team. When I was a kid, it was, school gets enough money, school gives it all to athletics, athletics fundraises on top of it, buys some ridiculous scoreboard or something. Other programs fundraise the scraps, and that's why the arts department is letting another staff member go this year. But maybe that's changed? I don't know. Story 13. When people film themselves doing things like giving a homeless person some money or food, or helping an old person something to be wholesome, when in actuality they're only doing it for the views. That's not wholesome, that's exploitative. I'm not sure in all cases they necessarily make the homeless person's day better. I'm imagining the most obnoxious doing it for the views type person, being on the receiving end of that and having to suffer their crap because your situation requires it must be mentally very taxing for people already in a mentally very difficult situation. We tend to think of homeless people and the like as almost less human anyway, but it's terribly dehumanizing to treat people as a prop for your ego or views, and could certainly contribute to making things feel worse for that person even if you gave them a meal. I feel sort of similar about a lot of the look at me being kind to a handicapped person type of thing. Sometimes it feels very exploitative and being on the receiving end of that can't always feel nice. I work for a charity where people who are good at DIY go around to old people's houses who have no money and fix things for them. It could be something as simple as a dripping tap or a squeaky floorboard to a new boiler. One of the rules is no filming or taking photos of yourself and putting it on social media. If the old people want to thank you or their families want to share a post to the charity, that's fine, but you can't do it yourself. You'd be surprised how many people's faces drop when they realize this. Still had one woman do it. She took photos of the before and after, a few of the old lady in her chair looking helpless, and then a video of the old woman saying thank you, and posted it saying something, "Feels so good to help out." It was cringy and exploitative. The charity will take photos and post it in their social media page for you to share. No need to do it yourself without even tagging the charity. Yep, I really do agree with this comment. I feel like many people who do that are only doing it for the views, but there are some good guys out there like Mr. Beast. He does do weird things sometimes, like give consoles to homeless people, but definitely one of the good ones. Story 14. Making amends with family because you've only got one. If someone wronged you, there's no obligation to make amends with them, even if they're family. I know someone whose brother got clean and was doing better, so they let their brother borrow their truck to go help a friend move. It was an emergency, they needed to move tonight. A couple hours later, the person I know gets a phone call saying their truck was impounded and was being used to sell neat. Later on, that person's dad tried to convince them they should forgive and forget because family should have your back no matter what. No, not after a betrayal of trust like that. I always hated that forgive and forget bullshit as an expectation. It takes a good person to truly forgive, but the forgiveness should be for the benefit of the person who was wronged, and it should come on their own timeline, if and when they are ready. The person who did the wrong and the people advocating for the wrongdoer have no say in the matter. On top of that, you can be happy that someone is trying to get their life on track. You can feel empathy for someone fighting and you're perfectly within your rights to do that from a distance of your choosing, or to not do it at all and keep them away from you. What's more, it's even a huge part of most 12-step programs that you must admit your wrongdoings, ask their forgiveness, and be prepared to not get it. And you're supposed to recognize where in some situations, asking for forgiveness can be more harmful than just leaving it alone, and keep your distance from that person. Story 15. Spouses being their partner is everything. It's okay to have other friends. Actually, it's even healthy to have a robust social life in which you get different things out of your relationships with different people. A lot of the "I would die without you" stuff that gets put out there in the media, etc., It's shown as romantic, but I really don't see it that way. And you end up with situations where you try to invite your friend out for drinks, and they drag their partner along who clearly doesn't want to be there. Or just maybe you want to catch up one-on-one or do an activity their partner doesn't like. I know people who refuse to do anything without their other half, but I personally really enjoy us going and doing separate things and then coming back to talk about it. Same with alone time. There can be the idea that if you really love someone, you never need alone time. I'm definitely not that way. If I don't get some solo time in there, I start to feel stir crazy no matter how awesome my partner is. My father-in-law basically died from this. He and my mother-in-law had done everything together. He had only one friend outside the family, and no interests outside the home. Also, he'd never lived on his own and had no experience preparing meals or house cleaning. After she died, my boyfriend and I moved in with him to help him adjust, but he just wouldn't or couldn't. After we moved out, he lived on fast food and sandwiches and packaged cookies. He gave up on personal hygiene, and I found out later, stopped taking his meds regularly. Then a CT scan showed he'd had 3 mini strokes. We were gearing up mentally for the assisted living talk and you can't drive anymore talk. But the unhealthy food and irregular meds beat us to the punch. He had a massive stroke and died. I suspect on some unconscious level he just didn't want to live without her and made that happen. If he'd had friends or involvement with the church or clubs or volunteer work or something of his own, things might have been different. Story 16. People that tell you, you won't fail. I get what they're trying to say, but there's a certain point where someone just wants to hear, it's okay if you fail. My daughter is very young, just shy of 1.5 years. She says her first words and moves around a lot, like any kid her age does, I guess. I don't know, first one for me. But whenever she falls down or tries to climb the couch and fails or doesn't succeed in putting her boots on, or whatever, and she gets a bit frustrated with it, her mother and I always tell her, it's okay if you fail. We're here to help you. I have absolutely no freaking idea if this is the right approach, but at least I feel like we acknowledge that she can fail and start over. And it's something I wish I had been told more when I was a kid, instead of this sink or swim. Is it? Or is it do or die? Can't remember. Hopefully it works mindset. Thanks for making it this far. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you'll surely enjoy which punishment seems not a big deal at first, but is actually horrific. I totally agree with story 10. Catch you on that video.